All right. Good morning, everybody. Cindy D's got first blood again. Good morning. Let me double check. Am I on? Okay. Looks like the sound is on. Okay. Everything looks like it's working. Good morning. All right. Hmm. And I see most of you are watching on Rumble, which I appreciate. Uh, I do indeed. Excellent. Except for you, Patrick. Get over there. Get over here. All right. So this morning I want to talk a little bit about some stuff I've seen on Twitter this morning. Uh kind of getting a late start this morning, so I didn't get through as much news as I wanted to this morning. But we've got this. Yeah, look at that guy. Hey, Pitt Danny, thanks, brother. Appreciate you. Oh, look at this guy, Tim Walls. The the he was Kamala's cuck, right? Okay, and I want you guys to listen to what he has to say on this. He's talking about why he was on the ticket as the VP.
I knew I was on the ticket. I would argue because we did a lot of amazing progressive things in Minnesota that improved people's lives. But I also was on the ticket, quite honestly, because I could code talk to white guys watching football, fixing their truck, doing that I could put them at ease. I was the permission structure to say, look, you can do this and vote for this. And you look across those swing states, with the exception of Minnesota, we didn't get enough of them. I knew I was on.
And we didn't get enough of those votes. I was the permission slip for white guys to vote for what? I mean, what were we voting for, Timmy boy? What did you want the white guys to vote for? Let's see. Increased corporate taxes, increased access to abortion. That's infanticide, and let's remember that this guy, right, this is one of those that put a law into place to prevent life-saving measures for the victims of botched abortions who were born alive despite having just made it through the attempted in-womb murder and survived. This is Tampon Tim, who tried to put did put tampons in little boys' bathrooms in public schools, right? I was the permission slip. They put me on the ticket. I understand why I was there. I was there to give white guys permission to vote. And what happened? Remember, we covered a little bit of this the other day with the polls on Boomer's opinion on Trump. Every other demographic below age 70 swung for Trump. The only age demographic that didn't go for Trump was 70 plus. Right? And it's because, and that's almost entirely because the Democrats have just continued to perpetuate this lie that Donald Trump is trying to take away their Social Security. And it just amazes me that people are so backwards on the Social Security program. I covered it in detail the other day, but it really is this simple. We have a below replacement birth rate right now. And we talk about, we've talked a little bit about the below replacement birth rate problem. But let me help you guys understand that. The millennials, like, I'm a geriatric millennial. I came in just under the line, right? 1981. So I'm on that cusp between Gen X and millennial. But millennials, there's somewhere around 80 million of us. Y'all, the generation after mine, there's 40 million. We're about to run out of 18-year-olds. Okay? And please believe when you're looking at the numbers, the way Social Security is structured, it takes between 2 and 4 active contributors to fund one recipient. You are not taking the money from Social Security that you paid in. That money is gone. If you're collecting a Social Security check, then everything you paid in has already been paid out, and what you're getting paid is coming from your kids and your grandkids, who will not have Social Security available to them when they get to the age where you started collecting. And that's assuming it's available to them at all. The current projections, the most generous current projections, show that despite inflation, Social Security benefits will have to be reduced in order to maintain solvency within the next 5 years. And it will be insolvent in 10. And that's it. Like that and and Medicare, Medicaid, that is essentially the sole reason that the 70 plus crowd went against Donald Trump. And my dad says the Social Security Administration can survive if managed properly. One, I disagree. I think we are way past the point that ship can be turned around. Its liabilities are just far outstrip its revenue generation and assets. And two, anytime the argument becomes this government program would do great if it was managed properly, you've already lost me, because you're asking for the government to properly manage a program. And I mean, I dare you to name one place where that has happened. I mean, the post office is a total money suck, a total money pit. It has cost us taxpayer money, and it has private sector competitors that whoop its ass because they're managed properly, and it is not. You got the Amtrak deal where, we were told that the government was going to come in and take over Amtrak and run it until it got its feet back under it and got back in order, and then it would go private again. That was supposed to be 50 years ago, and Amtrak is still not private. Social Security, another great example. Look at the food stamps program that started off. As one type of government program. I don't know if you know that, if you guys know this. The food stamp program is managed by the agricultural. What is it called? It's under agricultural. It's not under like Health and Human Services or Social Security. It's separate. It's under the Farms and Agricultural Bureaus, because it started off in the very, very early 1900s. We're basically building big cities, but we've got big farms that are far outside of the cities. We're just starting to use trains for mass transport. Department of Agriculture. Thank you, Dad. And we ran into a problem where there was severe food scarcity in the cities, and the bottleneck that was identified was that the farmers were growing the food, and then they couldn't afford. They had to pay for transportation up front to get their food into the cities to sell it, but they didn't have the money because they hadn't sold the food yet, and so the government stepped in with the Department of Agriculture and created the food stamp system. So what you did is you would go to the depot, and you, the citizen, would buy your food stamps with cash money, and you would have your food stamp, which was basically just a bill of sale that says this person has purchased this amount of food, of fruits and vegetables and beef and pork, etc. Right? They would, and then that money goes to the farmers. The farmers hire a train, load the food on the train, right? Farmers get paid. the train gets paid, the food comes in, and then you come up and pick up your food with your bill of sale, your food stamp, right? Basically, you're buying all your groceries on layaway if you lived in the city. That's how the food stamp program started. It was not a welfare program for the people. It was a logistical management program for the farmers so that they could handle the cost of getting the food to the people anytime. So yeah, Uncle Steve mentions NASA. That's a great example because we have not been back to the moon. And as much as I love my American Army, y'all, we burned money. I've talked about dumpster smash PT on this show where, hey, we want new furniture in the barracks, and the fiscal year's about to run out. They're gonna start working on the budget, and we need to show the government that we spent all the money they told us we could spend. So let's take all this old furniture out of the barracks. We're gonna smash it and destroy it and order new furniture so that we have left no dollar unspent because we don't want to get our budget reduced. Literally every place there is nothing that the government can do that is not done cheaper and better by private industry. So yeah, that's my pushback on that one, Dad. If it were the case, even if it were the case that the Social Security Administration could survive if managed properly, then you get to the if managed properly piece of that equation. The only way it can be managed properly and survive is if it's privatized and government is removed from it entirely. That's not not particularly a rabbit hole I had intended to go down this morning. I apologize for that drastic wandering off the point. So Tim Walz says that he was picked because he can code talk to white guys. Now, I want to take you back and think about the things that we saw out of the Kamala Harris campaign. How many different accents did she use? Remember, she was. We've seen it with Hillary Clinton. I don't feel no ways tired, and I keep hot sauce in my purse. Look at me, black people. I keep hot sauce in my purse because black people like me. Right? Obama did it, switching back and forth between accents. One of the things that really hit a chord with the American people is that Donald Trump doesn't do that. He doesn't code switch. It doesn't matter who he's talking to. The only thing I think he may do is when he's speaking to the public, he uses fewer F-bombs, right? And we know, and it's not that he uses no F-bombs. He doesn't do it in public. With I think the only time I've heard him drop an F-bomb addressing the public was when he was on the radio with Rush Limbaugh, and that was that got a lot of play because he was campaigning. He was on the radio with Rush Limbaugh, and he dropped an F-bomb on the radio on the Rush Limbaugh show that went out across all the FCC controlled radio waves. And so that was that's a big deal. I was like, no, it's not. It's really not. But you got this. You got Tampon Timmy. Like I said, Kamala. She tried to play Puerto Rican accent. She tried to play an Indian accent. She tried to play a Midwest accent. She tried to code switch and switch her accent for at least a half a dozen different demographic compositions, and it wasn't playing. People were calling her out. Democrats were calling her out for it. And now with this from Tim Walz saying this at the Harvard Kennedy School, it's like, that was always part of the plan, was to try and use that code switching to hoodwink people. And it's mind blowing that that's how these people talk, or how these people think. Um, and, and then of course you got Tim Walz has the unmitigated temerity to post this on X. One man should not be able to destroy the economy the way Trump has in only 100 days. I'm sorry. Gas prices doubled in the first year of Biden's administration. I don't know if you've noticed lately, but I've been getting my gas in the $2.70 range, where it was over $3 for the majority of Biden's presidency. And I know Kamala is not Biden. Tim Walz wasn't in that administration. But, I mean, have a little bit of self-awareness. Just a little bit of self-awareness, right? And guys, I do appreciate. I have noticed. I've been glancing over at the chat. I do appreciate the birthday well wishing. Thank you very much. It is in fact my birthday. And guess what I'm doing for my birthday? I get to go to the VA. Get to go to the VA and get my labs checked. Yay, 40s. Okay. So that's almost all the queer bait white boy I can handle. So let's get away from Tim Walz and switch over to this from Libs of TikTok. And oh no, it's more of
on the floor and actually helping instead of going against things that help us. Something that Starbucks loves to do is
Starbucks Roastery fights back against new dress code.
allow partners to be themselves or whatever that PR that they want to push. I don't understand how that's in good faith of letting us express ourselves. I don't understand how that's supposed to embody craft and culture and bring us back to that coffee house kind of vibe that Starbucks is asking for. Because for some reason, you all can't understand how to schedule more people in a zone. You can't understand that.
Okay. What is that coffee house culture she's talking about? Y'all, when I was a teenager and even through my 20s, even in my 20s, I used to spend a lot of time in coffee shops, little village, like old town type coffee shops. Big fan, right? I even did we've talked about doing the poetry slam stuff, open mic nights. Big fan. And I enjoyed, what remains of the kind of beatnik scene. But let's be clear, the beatnik scene was full of commies. So in all fairness, what Starbucks has become, where, most of your baristas are, like this chick with a beard, right? I'm sure she's going to tell you that she identifies as a man. No, honey. Just because you found some dangerous drugs that caused you to grow a beard and never enjoy sex again for the rest of your life does not make you a man. It doesn't. Right? And this whole, one of the things that makes the transgenders difficult to deal with in person, there's a couple of things, but dealing with them just out in the world, first, there's the uncanny valley of it. Okay? When you see a person who is, this is a doughy, forget the gender for just a moment. This is a doughy, unattractive, unfit, fat kid that's just not taking care of themselves, right? Now, and I've talked about, I've struggled with my weight in the past. I have, but I've actually struggled with it, right? When I was in my early 20s, I broke 350 pounds. I had to lose a whole bunch of weight to join the Army. And then while I was in the Army, I got down to slim and trim and fit. But y'all, I mean, when I say struggled with it, when I was down to 9% body fat, I was still 275 pounds, 270 pounds. I'm a big dude. And now that I'm out of the Army, and collecting a pension of sorts, I don't run 100 miles a week anymore. It's a little harder to keep the weight off, but I'm not going back to 350 again. That, good God. I was a huge. Now, in fairness, when I was 350, I was also a heavy construction worker. So, I was never one of these doughy shitbirds. But so yeah, you get the uncanny valley of it, where okay, the uncanny valley. Let me pull up an image let me see if I can pull up an image to really explain this. I believe, I suspect most of you guys understand theoretically what the uncanny valley is, but let's see if we can find one that better. Excuse me. Okay, here we go. Damn it. There. Okay, take a look at this. Back it up a little bit. So the uncanny valley is this point right here, where you've got characters, right? The stick figure, Homer Simpson, Snow White, even Mr. Incredible. And Mr. Incredible is a little more realistic looking. But these characters approach more and more accurate representations of the human figure, right? So the stick figure, this is just straight symbolic. And you look at it and you say, okay, I understand that this image is supposed to represent the basic shape and idea of a human being, right? This could even be used and interpreted as the symbol for the word for human in an ideographic language, right? Where they're using pictograms or something akin to hieroglyphs. You might see a stick figure as the word for human. Then The Simpsons, okay, it's fleshed out a little more. It's obviously meant to be an artistic representation of a human being. Same thing with these two. Even Snow White, the Snow White character, clearly a cartoon, but a little more accurate. Like The Simpsons character is a caricature that overemphasizes some of the facial features to give him a particular goofy look. Snow White is meant to look like a real person has been represented artistically. The Incredibles, Mr. Incredible, and much more the case, as even more close to reality, but he still has the jaw is overly square, the eyes are overly beady, right? He's intentionally unrealistic. And your brain immediately processes that this thing is not pretending to be a real human. But then you get to the Polar Express, and I don't know what Cubo Girl is, but it's the same kind of problem, where the artistic representation has become too realistic, has become too close to reality to be immediately and easily distinguished. And when a thing, but without actually being a real human being. And once a thing enters that territory, that's what we call the uncanny valley. And that is a deep coded evolutionary process that basically it's part of your tribalism. You're like genetically attached to tribalism, right? It's why when you see, if you're white people, and you see a black person who's an albino or very, very light skinned, you might do a double take, right? Okay, this person has features that I expect to be associated with this color tribe, and they're not. Is this person trying to trick me? And that's not what's going on. And I'm not saying that you even have those thoughts, but like consciously. But your brain tries to process it because it's seeing something that's not quite right. It doesn't fit with your basic expectations. And when you look at something like this is uncanny valley shit. That's why the bearded lady was a circus attraction. Right? That's why you would pay a nickel to go and watch the bearded lady handle a snake or whatever. You're into the uncanny valley.
People are taking LOA, and that you can't understand that it's not appropriate to tell someone that they are okay, that they should be doing the work of 4 people. That's disrespectful. I'm sorry. How often do I see you actually on the floor and actually helping instead of going against things that help us? When your partners are saying, I need you, I need help. Sorry, we're busy. I'm doing admin. Sorry.
This is not a legal action that Starbucks is taking by unilaterally deciding what the dress code is going to be and then creating this so-called feedback session.
Okay, and that's interesting too, because this whole protest is about to be about dress code, and Lunchbox, the bearded bitch here, is crying about why her manager doesn't make lattes. I don't even know what to do with the rest of that. But we, down to the comments, you've got, hey, jobs are meant to employ you, not give you a platform for expression or virtue signal. Yeah, okay. Let's go back for a moment. Remember the Colin Kaepernick controversy, right? The Kaepernick took a knee during the national anthem to protest against X, Y, and Z, and people said, "Hey, I don't think he should do that. I don't agree with the speech he's making." And the rebuttal from the left was, "Well, you just don't support First Amendment rights." No, hold on a minute. I said he shouldn't kneel. I said I don't agree with his speech. I didn't say he should be arrested for it, that the government should come in and stop him. Well, you just don't support his freedom of speech. I disagree with the speech he's making. There is a world of difference, world of fucking difference. And then there's this whole other issue. He doesn't have the right to free speech in the circumstances that he's attempting to express it, because he signed a contract with a moral and decency clause with an employer, and he is on that field working in the official capacity as designated by that contract, wherein he voluntarily surrendered his free speech in the service of the employer. I would even go so far as to argue that if you're a celebrity who has signed a clause like that, then you might need to think about that before making public speeches on your own platform. And hey, contractors, y'all might want to take a closer look at some of your celebrities. Like, for example, Disney. Disney hired that chick to play Snow White, and she has almost single-handedly destroyed a film that cost billions of dollars to make by Rachel Ziegler, by running her mouth about feminism and racism and politics all over the place. I mean, it's one of the, God, how much money did that movie lose? How much money did Snow White lose? Because they got absolutely, Disney's live action remake of Snow White is expected to lose around $115 million due to disappointing box office performance and high production costs. The film's total expenses were estimated at over $410 million, while its worldwide gross was only $225 million. Not billions. They spent millions, hundreds of millions of dollars, and they're getting absolutely wrecked. So yeah, you might want to give a little more thought to who you're contracting with there, big companies. Okay, it's 8:00. I'm running up on the hour, and I've got to get down the road because I got to go to Dublin today. So guys, thank you for watching this morning. Thanks for the birthday wishes. We love you. Y'all be safe out there, and we will see you tomorrow.